Tobacco, the indigo. Who do you think gonna raise the kids? Who do you think gonna clean the house? So stupid Abe had to think about it, and guess what they came up with? They came up with a whole set of laws called the slave codes. And you know what they were? They were a set of laws to reinstitute slavery. Let me tell you what they were. There was the vagrancy law. A vagrant was any person who wasn't fully employed and didn't have a place of residence. You know who that was? The 4 million slaves who just found that they were free. As soon as they stepped up the plantation, you breaking the law, they locked you up. Wow. And as soon as they started that process, then they created what's called the convict lease program. You know what the convict lease program was? The convict lease program was a program that said once you were arrested and incarcerated, you could be leased back to the plantation. Sometime before your bed even got cold. Then they said, oh yeah, you want to vote? Sure, we got the literacy law. You know what that law was? The literacy law said that you could vote, but you had to first read this statement. If you read the statement, you were arrested. Why? Because the only way you could read it, if you know how to read it, was against the law. And so they had the legal system set up and designed to reinstitute chattel slavery. Now we got to fast forward. But we don't got a lot of time. But what I will tell you, even today, they got this drug-free zone. Let me tell you why the drug-free zone is a joke. Drug-free zone said if you get caught with drugs, either in your possession, sale, or distribution in a drug-free zone, which is 500 feet from a school, that you are required to get the maximum penalty. Well, guess what? Anywhere you go, if it's 500 or 1,000 feet from a school, which means we automatically going to get the maximum. That's when they come up with the mandatory minimums, which say, well then, if in fact you get arrested with a certain amount of drugs, I got to give you 15 to life. You know why? Because the prison industrial complex is a business, and we are a commodity. We were brought here as a commodity. As soon as they figured out that they could no longer use us in the way they use us, they had to figure out a new way to use us. And when this way runs out, they'll come out with another way to use us. Until we wake up, until we raise our consciousness, until we recognize that I want you to kill each other. I want you to call your sister by the B name. I want you to call each other niggas. I want y'all to rob and steal each other. You know why? Because I make money all the way to the bank. My daughter's the stenographer. My uncle is the judge. My nephew is the prosecutor. My cousin is the defense attorney. And my brother is the correction officer. My other cousin is the warden. And if you die and kill each other, I make the embalming fluid to bury your dead ass. And then on top of that, I build a coffin. So I'm making money across the board. So I don't want you to get conscious. I don't want you to be in a room teaching each other. I don't want you to raise your level of thinking. I want you to go out there and bang each other. I want you to go out there because when you do that, my son, who's not yet born, can have an education at Harvard. I can buy that yacht that I always wanted. I can live in a life of luxury, and I can continue to capitalize off your stupidity. That's what the prison industrial. Now I got to fast forward to one more piece. This is the final piece that I got to go because we ain't got a lot of time. We heard a lot tonight. We got to get out on the streets and do some work. Come on down. Tell you, I did a lot of time in prison, so I had a lot of time to think about this. And you know, when I go articulate this stuff in Congress, and you know, you see the guys standing on the end, they get ready to come get me. You know, every time I go and speak at one of those sessions where you got to be real formal, you know, they don't know. I know how to get formal too, you know. I can take in consideration the mitigating circumstances. I can do that too, right? I learned that too, but I also know how to keep it real. And I'll tell you this: the system right now is looking for a new way because, you know, the numbers are starting to go down. See, we killing each other too fast, and so we're not filling the prison cells. See, they need us to slow down the killing a little bit so we can fill themselves, because prisons are built upstate. And when they build prisons upstate, that means it creates jobs for upstate economies. See, prisons became the new upstate economy. When manufacturers started leaving America because they were trying to escape unionization, they had to come up with a new way to sustain their economy. So they built prisons. Them white folks up there that was carrying signs about we want prison, they was doing that because they meant we want jobs. We need your babies locked up so they can fill themselves in order for us to have jobs from now and throughout eternity. And what the reality is that if I can't make money on you in the front, I'm going to make money on you in the back. And if I can't make money in the back, I'm going to make money off you in the front. And the only way I can do that is to keep you in a state of darkness. The only way I can do that, I got to keep you asleep. The only way I can do that, I got to keep you focused on killing each other so you don't have time to figure out who the real enemy is. See, I got to keep you in the Willie Lynch syndrome. I got to keep the tall against the short, the light against the dark, the weak against the strong. I got to do that. I got to tell you, oh, this guy ain't real. Guy told me recently I'm not real because I wear a suit and tie. What kind of foolishness is that? Black people come in all shapes and sizes, you know. Somebody's got to be the intellectual. Somebody got to crunch the numbers. I don't necessarily like it, but I got to do it because I got to be able to come out and explain the numbers. So this is how the number game works. Do you know every time we go upstate to prison, it's ching-ching? You know they got this thing called gerrymandering. Gerrymandering means when you get locked up, they send you 100 and something miles away, 200, 300 miles away. What that means, all the money that comes from your hood goes upstate.
Right.
So every time they do the census count, they have to count you in that county as if you're a resident of that county.
Right.
When they do that, they say we have an exploding population and we need more money to build more hospitals, schools, and roads, which those folks is never going to use.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is that the person who's going to make it responsible for them to secure that money is going to be the elected official up there who's representing the interest of his real constituency, which ain't you. Why? Because you locked up and you can't vote. But we don't recognize that, so we continue to feed into our own self-destruction. We continue to feed into our own demise. And we think we doing something, but the only thing we doing is we dancing to the tune. And so there's some white folks sitting back in a place that they call Silicon Valley, and they right there computerizing, and they figuring out the next way that they can use us as consumers. I tell you, y'all killing each other a little bit too fast, and themselves is starting to be empty. They don't like an empty cell, so they figured out new ways. For those guys who stand on the corner slinging jokes about somebody told them drop the dime on you, nobody drop the dime on you. They got a whole thing where they don't even use infrared anymore. They got a whole new kind of science now where they can take a millimeter of light and amplify it 1,000,000 times. They can see you from 20 blocks away through cinder block walls. They got satellite right now. Any one of y'all can go home on your computer, put it on Google Earth, put your address in, and it'll come right down on your front door. Right now, you can do it tonight. They got technology now with DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, but we just call it DNA for short. Fact of the matter is that when folks is doing a crime, they ain't thinking straight. So they're going to touch something, they're going to sweat, they're going to spit, they're going to urinate, and you're going to leave some evidence. Do you know DNA is 99.9% accurate?
That's right.
You know all they need is a little piece of hair. Anything off you and they can bring it right to you. That's the reason why they want all our kids fingerprinted. Because once I get you the database, I got you. You see, and since we all look alike anyway, it don't make a difference which one of us they snatch up. As long as I get one of y'all. Let me close by saying this. Because we can go on and on.
Wow.
We can go on and on. What we did, what we doing in the city, I created an institution, and I'm looking for folks as soon as they come out of prison. You know why? Because I got a lot of stuff in my head I got to get out.
Yes, sir.
Everybody on my staff was former blood, former Crip, did time in prison with a stick-up kid. You don't know nobody that love more money than me. I love money, drugs, clothes, jewelry. Used to, don't love it no more. I love the good life, but I found a different way to do it now. I can sell books now. People pay me to run my mouth, and I like to do that. So I found a way to take my skills and legitimize it. Just like they trying to find a way to legitimize slavery, we got to do the same thing. Them same skills you're using on the street, banging and doing what you're doing, those are transferable skills. You know more than any corporate CEO. We know all about accounting and marketing and distribution and packaging. Don't nobody know it better than us. We create all the fashion. We trailblazers. We ain't got to be following nobody. But we first gotta wake up because we still sleep. I'll tell you that the fact that we're still here now is a testimony to our greatness. We done came through every ism you can think of. Every form of racism, every form of sexism, every discrimination, every annihilation, every form of genocide. We been pushed out, locked out, shut up. They did everything they could do and we still here. That should tell you something. So I'll end in the words of Brother El-Hajj Malik, otherwise known as Malcolm X, who said that we as a people have done so much for so long with so little that we're now qualified to do anything with nothing. So always shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll still be amongst the stars. Thank you.
Man, woman, ladies and gentlemen, upon authenticating your birth certificate, attaching an affidavit of ownership, being competent to handle your own affairs, you're joining the age of majority. You're no longer a minor. Minors are babies. Minors are children that, whether you be an infant or you be a full-grown adult, you're incompetent when you are a minor, and you need someone to speak on your behalf, someone to handle your affairs on your behalf. However, when you obtain the age of majority, you authenticate your birth certificate, subsequently attach an affidavit of ownership to it. You are staking the claim that you are able to handle your own affairs, that you are competent to handle your own affairs. And in doing so, how do you handle your own affairs? What do you do? We spoke about in part one of having relationships with agencies and different individuals, and they not having an obligation or duty to respond to you. Why? Because they don't have a relationship with you. You can't go to your next door neighbor and demand they give you rice or sugar. They don't have to. You can't demand that they say hello to you every day. Even the people you do have relationships with, let's be honest, you can't demand that they say hello to you, but they have a duty to respond. If you have a relationship with your bank and your bank doesn't inform you of the changes in their rates or changes in their policy, that's a breach. If you are on or involved in child support, whereas the courts have you obligated to make payments, what have you, and new laws went into effect where they can only collect, let's say, $5 a month as opposed to $100 a month, and you were not informed, that's a breach. They have a duty to respond to you. So you have a relationship with these individuals. Now, in the secured party process, of which I dibbled and dabbed, I'm going to be totally transparent. I personally didn't see a need to do the complete secured party process because of my status at the time and because of my standing. There was no need for me to claim secured party status. So with that being said, sending your documentation to the IRS, to the Department of the Treasury, etc., to all these different departments, if you don't have a relationship with them, you're damn right they're not going to respond to you. So these processes call for, if the word's used right here, tacit agreement, whereas if they do not respond to you and you complete out your administrative process, then they are in default because they should have but did not. However, if they don't have a duty to respond to you, then your administrative process is dead on its face, because they can immediately state that you don't have a claim on which relief can be granted, meaning I don't have a relationship with you. Who are you? Who are you to request anything from me? So these are how a lot of cases are dismissed, because people don't know their status, their standing, and whether they are a party. Are you a party to the suit? Are you have standing to sue? Let's move on. When you are handling your own affairs, there are ways in which you need to enforce, or to better rephrase that, when you are enforcing your instruments, when you are enforcing your documentation, your correspondence, there are certain ways that you could do them. Of course, there's the administrative process. You're going to send letters, as we spoke of in the first part, and you're going to default them out because they have not responded. What do you do next? Well, let's start with small claims. Small claims court, I'm referencing New Jersey for where I currently inhabit. If your claim against an individual is $15,000 or less, then you could bring them to, or you can bring suit in small claims court. If it's over $15,000, then you would have to bring a claim in civil court. All right. So that's the criteria of where you start, who, what, when, where. When you go to these courts online, they tell you the forms that you would need to fill out, who needs to be served, how they need to be served, etc. Again, Jonah Bay mentioned this, and Yusufel also made this point. Well, first with Jonah Bay, that all roads lead to court. All roads lead to court. You could have an excellent game, or like penmanship game, whereas these people are afraid of you just by the words that you put on a piece of paper. and they comply with whatever you say by your piece of paper, you're going to run across some that just totally dismiss you, ignore you. What do you do next? Well, all roads lead to court. You're going to have to sue them. You will have to sue them. And a lot of time these people settle it, settle out of court or settle because they don't want this. If they know they're in the wrong and they try to wear you out, whereas they play the court game and they have lawyers on their side and they can extend this and, postpone forever. They can wear you out. You don't have the time. You got a job to go to. You got things you got to do. You don't have time to go sit in court for 2-3 hours for it to be dismissed or adjourned and then have to come back in a week or two or a month or so. You don't have the time, and they play the game well. So aggressive enforcement. If you give them a choice, would you discharge this? Would you answer my claims? Would you be so kind, etc.? Then they have an option on the table of which they can either answer you or not answer you. You gave them a choice. But when you are decisive and you don't give them a choice and you demand what you want, that changes the game because they can't wiggle out. You don't want to leave these people any wiggle room. So do not give them a choice. Be decisive and be direct when you're dealing with these people in processing or when enforcing your processes is very, very important. Another point is the suit must be initiated in either your county and state or the county and state where the contract was signed. If you don't have a signed contract, or if there is no signed contract, rule of thumb is you initiate the case in your county to be your state. So people often want to know, because they have no clue how to initiate a case, where to initiate a case. The rule of thumb is wherever the contract was initiated or signed, preferably signed, is where the court case should be initiated. Where the company is located is also an option to initiate a court case. So if you are suing Capital One and Capital One's headquarters is in New Jersey, you could sue them in New Jersey, even though you're a New York resident. If the contract was signed in New York, then you would sue them in New York. Okay? So I hope that makes sense to you. And please look up the terms, look up the terminologies. And as a matter of fact, let me reshare my screen with you. 1 second. And give you some other tips. In doing your research for initiating case, for defending a case, for considering a case, you should be collecting articles, collecting information that will help you in the event you are presented with the opportunity, because these are opportunities to defend a case or to initiate a case. And what you see on your screen is coming from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a Civil Law Help Center. It's how to fight collections of a judgment. Now, just because you are trying to get a summary or default judgment against someone does not mean you shouldn't study collection of a judgment or how to fight a judgment. You need to learn both sides of the fence. You need to, like in tennis, you serving them with the lawsuit. But when they hit the ball back in your court, do you now know what to do? You have to learn how to volley. You have to hit the ball back in their end. What are you sending back? What is your response? What kind of response? And you don't want to just give them a simple response. You want to actually smack that sucker with out of their reach. You understand? Think of the terms of tennis and how you're playing against these people. Because it's court. It's all court. And you want to hit it on their side, out of their reach, or you want to bring it straight to their face. But you know, the path of least resistance is better most of the time. So this is how to fight a collection of a judgment. The URL is up here. Please pause the video and look this up, or type in how to fight a collection of a judgment, and that should pop up. Okay. I got another one for you here. The jurisdictionary, how to win in court. A lot of the information on here is free. Some of it you may have to pay for, or join, you know, join their organization or sign up for their site. But a lot of information up here, a lot of information on how to defend your case, what to write in your paperwork, etc. This is howtowinincourt.com. Howtowinincourt.com. Okay, please copy these URLs down, pause the video, copy these things down, and go visit them on your own time. I can't always go through all of these things. I have so much. And if I show you I have so much in here. So much. But anyway, tender of payment. It's a very good one. Tender of payment under UCC, a forgotten defense. This is an article I read a while ago when I was looking into accord and satisfaction. I have articles on accord and satisfaction where the courts and lawyers are warning their clients to be careful of accepting money orders, checks, or different things with that verbiage at the bottom. Full settlement, enclosure, full settlement escaping me at the moment, but that terminology that's referenced in UCC, or the Uniform Commercial Code, under accord and satisfaction, you know, for full settlement and claim. When you write that on the instrument and you present it for payment, you are in essence letting the recipient know that although I owe you $20, I'm giving you 10. And if you accept this 10, that means, you know, I don't owe you the other 10. It's a legal strategy and it works. And the lawyers are warning people against it. Perhaps before I finish out this video, I can show you a link on that. Does it have anything to do with process enforcement of your processes? Yes. Yes. Okay, going on to the next. Pro se. Very, 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 very interesting website here. And it's court.net and the pro se way. You need to go check out this website. Advanced trial handbook, debt collection myths, production of documents, sample motions, collateral estoppel, government ineffective assistance of counsel. This is a very, and to prove to you this is an actual real site, I like to go into sample of motions. Look what comes up. And of course, my internet wants to act up. There we go. Public defender resources. Is that actual? Let's do it again. I put in sample motions. And it's now taking us to the public defender website. It didn't do that about a year ago when I was going through this. Let's go through another one. Advanced trial, invalid legal arguments. Let's do invalid legal arguments. It brings you to another page, common law suit, flag issue, land patents, non-resident alien, wages not income. Let's go to wages not income. It brings you case sightings. Okay. Well, again, in your own due time, your own spare time, please check out court.net. Okay. And I think that's it. Yes, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, man and woman, when you have an issue and you are trying to enforce it, how you go about doing it tells a whole lot about how your processes are going to be handled. If you do a half-assed job, you're going to get half-assed results. If you are thorough, you can expect thorough results. Do not get discouraged when you get, or you run up against a wall, or you get ignored, or your suit may even get dismissed. Ask the pertinent questions as to why it's being dismissed. I mentioned it earlier in this video about failure to submit a claim upon which relief can be failure to submit a claim upon which relief can be granted. Google that term and check out everything that comes up under that term. Failure to submit a claim upon which relief can be granted. And I went totally in on the last video, process enforcement number 1, and speaking about relationships. If you do not have a relationship with the individual that you are corresponding with, they don't have an obligation to respond to you. So it's the similar action when someone attempts to dismiss your claim against them because it's failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Meaning, who are you? You are trying to bring a claim against me. Do you even have standing to sue? That's like a third-party bill collector suing you for the first party's obligation, meaning Capital One loaned you some credit. You defaulted on that credit card, and now American Legion Collection Society is now suing you for that debt. Who are you? Do you have legal standing to sue me? And they can establish legal standing by tacit agreement, meaning they are coming after you for a debt. They are letting you know clearly that they're coming after you for a debt. That's the purpose of debt collection, what have you. And they are speaking on behalf of their client. And they're trying to recoup monies. Now, if you don't deny that you owe this money, then you agree that you owe this money. And they now can adjoin or enjoin the lawsuit, and they can be a party to the suit, which they now can sue you because they are claiming they have a loss, and it's because of you. And if you don't fend off or defend, rebut these accusations, these assumptions, these presumptions, you more or less agree. So you got to know how to defend yourself. You got to know how to go on offense. And whatever the point was I was making on that one, I'm going to carry on. You need to know what court to bring suit to. And the first place you should start is small claims court. Look in your state or look up in your state, small claims court, and the denomination required for suit. If it's X amount of dollars or higher, you know, or if it's X amount of dollars or lower. So start in small claims court. Then you would go up to civil. And if it's a substantial amount of money, if there's fraud involved, that would be federal. All right. So we went through small claims. I believe this one's going to be civil procedure. In case you didn't know, each state has rules of civil procedure. In this private information, a lot of time people are referencing the federal rules of civil procedure, FRCP. FRCP, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, a Rule 5.1, the Rule 7, you know, these different things. But there is the composite or the replica documentation on the state level, and it's the Rules of Civil Procedure by the state. So what do you need to do to bring suit? You would go to your state's rules of procedure and figure this out. There's no way you are going to be enforcing your processes and or you're not familiar with the rules of civil procedure, whether it be the rules of federal civil procedure or state civil procedure. You got to learn this, or you have to have a working knowledge of this in order for your processes to be successful. So if your processes are not working, if what you're doing is not working, you need to go back and evaluate your structure. Okay, so there's the federal rules of civil procedure and there's the state rules of civil procedure. Okay, we're going to leave these open because I might come back and reference those. You also have the Uniform Commercial Code. And in the Uniform Commercial Code, there are two sections that most people, you know, read them all. Read them all. However, a lot of people stay in Article 3 and Article 9. 3 and 9. Article 3 talks about negotiable instruments, and Article 9 talks about how to enforce those negotiable instruments and also secure transactions. Read all the articles of the Uniform Commercial Code. Read all the articles of the Uniform Commercial Code for your state. Each state adopts its own. Read your articles. Understand what is being said and what you would need to do. Another tool in the toolbox is lawpipe.com. Lawpipe.com. In lawpipe.com, you can go find small claims courts. If you put in here in a search, small claims, you can find court cases that were filed, that were argued, that were settled. Not settled, but that, you know, it came to a decision. Here, look these things up and see what you would like to add, you could add into your documentation, whether it be quoting a case or citing a case or using the case sightings, the case citing in your brief or in your argument. All right. So these are just tools in the tool bag that you might be able to use that could help you with your case against whomever you are bringing suit to. And that's lawpipe.com. You can also use Google Scholar to do the very exact same thing. If you're looking up small claims and you go down to case law, federal courts, Pennsylvania court, let's select the courts. Let's go to Jersey. Well, since we did Jersey, right, let's go to New York. And it's going to search all divisions with the exception to, I think, small claims court may not come up in this list here. Maybe a separate search for small claims, but let's see what comes up. And nothing came up. Let's do it again. Maybe I did something wrong. Now, see, all this information comes up that you can use to reference in your paperwork or use to bring suit against someone else. You want to reference case law or cases that have something to do with what you're suing for, that are familiar or similar, and you more than likely will get the same results, because if it's similar to a case that was settled already, the courts will have to rule the same or similar way. All right, let's leave that there. And I guess last but not least, I didn't even bring it up. Didn't even bring it up. But these are the tools that you'll use to enforce your instruments, enforce your processes. All roads lead to court. So, and bringing suit, there's certain ways that you would have to do it. Where would you go? How would you do it? It determines on the amount that's being sued or you're trying to collect. If it's under a certain amount of money, more than likely it's going to be in small claims court. If it's over that threshold for small claims court, you're going to have to bring it up in civil court. Now, where do you bring up the suit? Do you bring it up in the suit where the business is located, or do you bring it up in the area of which you reside? Area in which you reside. Okay? So I hope this helps. I hope this gives you more information as far as enforcing your processes and your wording. I've referenced in an earlier video of using pleading paper. I referenced using certified mail, return receipt. Some people would prefer to use registered mail, what have you. Get your strategies together. Again, go through the tools of the trade videos that I put out and get your paperwork game together. Get the materials that you need to form your paperwork together, because if your paperwork is coming and looking unprofessional, they're going to treat you as unprofessional. They're going to really ignore you, and you may not get the remedy that you're looking for. However, if you present your stuff in such a manner of which it flaws your opponent, your adversary, more times than one, they're gonna buckle, because they don't know who it's coming from, as opposed to them thinking it's coming from an individual who doesn't know anything, to it coming from a outfit as like a lawyer, a law firm that may be representing you. They don't know. But if you come across as being bigger than what they believe you to be, stronger than what they perceive you to be, then they're more likely to settle and give you what you were asking for. So your paperwork game, your pen game, your enforcement game needs to step up. Thank you.